Want to be a topper in MBA entrance exams? Join BYJU'S Exam Prep, CAT and MBA YouTube channel and watch serial 99 percentiles teaching you the tips and tricks.
Hi everyone, very good morning. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Alpa Sharma and this is our editorial analysis. I hope you guys can hear and see me clearly. I am so sorry for a couple of minutes delay because there was something technical that we were setting up, but now finally the class has started. Can you hear and see me clearly, everyone? If you could quickly confirm that. Hi Pradyuman, I've been really good. I hope all of you have been doing good as well. Could you quickly confirm if I'm clearly visible and audible? Yes, am I? Good morning, very good morning. And as promised in the last class, you guys know what article I've brought today. You guys know that. Okay. So, yes, clearly visible and audible. Okay, great. So, what did I promise you in the last class? That every week, at least once, we will try to take up an article from the infamous website. Why do I call it infamous? I call it infamous because usually... just a minute. Okay, yes. So, the infamous website. Why do I call it infamous? I call it infamous because the people who read the website are scared of the length of the article, sometimes the language as well. What is the source? I'm sure you know the source. The source is Aeon. So I've got one article from Aeon today. We'll be doing only one article because Aeon articles are long. I've made it a concise one, a precise one. Yet it remains a long article. And the topic that we're going to be discussing today from the Aeon article is literature. That's what we're going to be talking about. Yes, Tanvi, of course, because any examination that asks you reading comprehension, this or rather some GK or rather some interview or GD, this class will help you with everything. Okay, it's a compact mixture of where I come live every week, twice a week rather, and I tell you something about GK, something about reading, something about grammar, something about some things that you need to know as a prerequisite before you sit for an interview as well. So it's a package, okay? So back to the idea, I bought an article on literature from the Aeon. The language is easy, some words are tricky, yes, because it's on language, so it's obvious that some words are going to be new for you, some idioms are going to be new for you. So we will aim at learning many new words today, vocabulary, idioms rather. And I will be highlighting many lines in the article where I'll ask you to make inference. So make sure you might not be really interested in reading about literature. It might be your Achilles heel, your weak point. Yet, literature is one of CAT's favorite topics, so we're going to be talking about that. And please be very attentive when I ask you a question, because that will increase your ability to make more inferences in reading comprehension. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing in the class today. So let's start off with the first page of vocabulary, slide number 1. Okay, now saddled in the past tense. Saddle is usually the support that you keep at the back of a horse. Okay, usually when you or maybe a donkey, because you want to put some weight over the back of that animal, that's a saddle. Whereas if you look at it contextually, saddle can be used when you overburden somebody with an onerous task, a humongous task, a Herculean task. Okay, so saddling is burdening somebody, not necessarily the saddle you put on an animal's back. It can be used with humans, with people, contextually as well. He's saddled with debts. Now here he's overburdened with not a task but debts of $12 million. So saddle can be putting burden on somebody's shoulders. Hi Disha, hi Fardeen. Okay, so that's the first word of the class. I hope everybody gets the contextual usage of it. I'll keep repeating this, everyone. The literal meaning of a word does not count unless and until there's only a direct synonym or antonym question. If a word comes up in a passage, we only and only need to know the contextual meaning of it. Okay. The next word, rabid. Okay, now rabid usually has two meanings. One, that's associated with rabies. So a dog that's infected with rabies, maybe that's rabid. But then there's another contextual meaning here, giving your support in a very extreme manner, in a very crazy manner that you're unable to think about anything else. So that extreme or fanatical support or your belief into something is rabid, like a crazy person not being able to think about anything else. The show is small but rabid fan base. That is, this fan base was crazily supporting the show or the performers. They could not think about anything else. Their support was beyond crazy. That is rabid. So you can link it to rabies and memorize it. Okay, what happens when a dog is infected with rabies? Dog goes crazy, right? So, or a person for that matter of fact is infected from rabies, he goes crazy. So you can link both the words, both the meanings, and memorize the meaning of the word here, okay? The third word is eccentric. Eccentric also, now you must be wondering, ma'am has bought an article on literature, why are we going to talk about behaving in a rabid manner? I will explain that, okay? Eccentric is again a very different behavior. We usually say artists behave in an eccentric manner. Why do we say that? Because their behavior, their dressing style, their way of their lifestyle is not normal like other people do. It's a little different. So eccentric, my question to you is eccentric a negative word or a positive word? What is the connotation the word has? Is it a, yes Atul, by God can be a word for rabid, yes. Okay, now back to the question. Eccentric, does it have a positive connotation or a negative connotation? What do you think? In a very unconventional, a little strange manner, that behavior, that dressing up, that lifestyle is eccentric. So, what do you think? Does it have a positive connotation or a negative connotation? Positive? Positive? Okay. I think you're marking positive because I gave you the example of artists. Remember, eccentric can be both. Yes, Atul. It can be both positive and negative. It completely depends on the context. Rather, it's very usually used as a negative connotation only. Okay? It can have both. It depends on the situation. Okay? The next word is fallible. Do you know the word fallacy? Do you know the meaning of the word fallacy? If you know it, you can link it to fallible and you would know the answer. Fallacy is a wrongdoing, an error, a mistake. Okay, something that's not, it's a misfit or something that's wrong. Usually we use it in court cases as a fallacy. Alright, now fallible completely relates to fallacy. Capable of making mistakes or being wrong. A person who is fallible is capable of making errors, is capable of making mistakes, that's fallible. So experts can be fallible, of course. We can make mistakes. You, I, all of us are fallible because we can make mistakes. Can I say God can also be fallible? Yeah, at least in Hindu mythology, we've read so many stories where God's made mistakes. Yeah, so that's fallible. That is bound to make an error or is capable of making an error. Okay? False belief, exactly, Pradyuman. That's the meaning, okay? So, I hope you get all the words here. That's slide number 1. Take a screenshot very quickly and then we're going to move on to slide number 2. Okay, for all those people who joined me late, I'm going to be taking an Aeon article that talks about literature today. It talks about our favorite language. Second slide, ambulate. Ambulate is akin to walking, a synonym to walk. Move about is okay, you just proceed. Alright, so ambulate is a synonym to walk. People who make use of crutches to ambulate. So maybe my leg is hurt and I'm not able to walk on my foot. So I'll be using crutches to walk. So a synonym to walk is ambulate. Who uses ambulate for walking? Why don't we use only walking? What is the reason ambulate is used? No specific reason. So we're going to be talking about that as well in today's article. Okay. The next word is feet. Do you have any questions, anyone? No questions. Okay. The next word is feet. So feet, just a minute, is an achievement that requires a lot of effort, a lot of talent, a lot of strength. That victory is a feat. when you guys, recently if you've been reading newspapers, the articles that you read written on Nadal, this word certainly would be a part of such articles. Can you correlate these? Nadal to feet? Yes. Move about is basically to just pass by, to just go on. Walking is move about. Okay, Priya? Did you link these two? Exactly, Atul, that's the point. Only to increase the complexity. I would barely say walk, but when I say ambulate, that's merely to increase the complexity and make the language very attractive. So feat, if you read articles on Nadal, you would know what feat is. Any achievement that required skill, strength, courage, all of this is feat. So those people who don't know why am I referring to Nadal, please read the newspapers regularly. That will help you get through GDs and PIs. The new printing presses were considerable feats of engineering. It was, so can you give me synonyms to it? Can I say marvel? Marvel can be a synonym. Yeah. Achievement can be a synonym. Yes. Okay. So, because it's something extraordinarily good and must, is it, okay, just a minute, guys, just a minute. Oh, something's wrong. Here we go. You just saw how many pages do I have today. Are you ready to read these? Okay. Yes, exactly, Atul, and that's why it's a feat. Second last word, obliterate. Completely destroy. We've done this word in the last few classes. Okay? So completely wipe out, destroy. For example, tsunami obliterated the homes at the shores. It destroyed and wiped out the homes that were at the shore. The memory was so painful that he obliterated it from his mind. He wiped out the memory from his mind. That's completely cleaning, wiping out, destroying is obliterate. And then we have caprices, the last word. So caprices is a sudden influx, a sudden change in the mood, a change in the behavior, being very impulsive is another related word to caprices. The caprices of electorate, they suddenly change their size, they suddenly change their moods, they suddenly change who they wish to vote to. That's exactly, Atul. Very good. Very good. Annihilate can be related to obliterate. Very good. Everyone, uh, Disha, you link Harry Potter to feats, do you? Catastrophic, Anuja, very good, is related to obliterated. Guys, that's exactly what I want you to do. Come up with many synonyms, many antonyms. Because that way, you and other people are also benefited simultaneously, okay? And that's how we make the class more interesting. Anna, for mood swings can be caprices? Yes, it can be. All right. So that's the last slide, I think, slide number 2, and we are done with the vocabulary. Take a screenshot and then let's move on to the articles where I'll be asking you questions. But before that, one, meet our achievers, the unstoppables of CAT 2021. We've got Prathamesh, Ashish, Vishwanath, who got through their dream IIMs. To know more about our programs, this so basically at the bottom you will be getting the counselor's number. You can call them up and know more about the programs. We have a new program, CAT 2022 Targeting Comprehensive Program, that we've launched. Please make sure that you enroll yourself at the earliest, because this is a place where you find trainers, teachers who have themselves been regularly serial 99 plus 100 percentilers. So you don't have to look any further. We shall see you in the classes very, very soon. Obliviate for obliterate. That's a related word, Abhilasha. It is. Impulsive, belligerent. Yes, Atul. They are. For just a minute. Caprices. Exactly. Impulsive. Here we go. Let's move on. Slide number 1. Read this and then send me a done. Good luck, everybody. Have fun. So I hope it's done. Yeah, it's done. English is not a normal language. See, what are we even discussing? In a class that focuses on making English better, we're discussing an article that says English is weird. It's certainly not normal. And then this whole page, the two paragraphs that I've shown you, it focuses on giving you reasons and reiterating the fact that English is not a normal language. He constantly repeats the word, it's weird, it's weird. And I'm sure you and I, despite the fact that my household is run because of the language, and you are going to be in your dream I am because of this language, yet we would agree that English is a weird language. One reason the author clearly gives here is the spelling. He says how we speak a word and how we write a word, they're two different things altogether. My daughter is utterly confused every time I try to teach her spellings because she is unable to get it. Why is the word pronounced this way but written the other way? So that's the first reason. Okay? Yeah. So the para is acting as a premise for the upcoming passage. Exactly. He sets up the foundation. But then these paragraphs, they also have opinions. Okay? So he says the spelling is weird. Now, he focuses on something else here. He says there's a difference between something that's written and something that's spoken. And now there's a line, this one. Read this line again, everybody. It says it's weird in ways that are easy to miss, especially since Anglophones in the US and Britain are not exactly rabid to learn other languages. What does the line say? The line gives you a very, very strong opinion here. He says the Anglophones are the native English speaking people. They say they speak only in only one language, and they're so rigid about their own language, and they're not exceptionally excited to learn any other language. That makes it a very rigid language. And if you go to the US or the Britain or any of the neighboring countries, you will have to speak this language because the natives aren't really ready. Look at our country. We speak so many local native languages apart from Hindi being a common language. Yet, we are okay to learn English or German or French. We aren't really rigid about our language here. But that's not the case with the Anglophones. They speak only one language and they are not very excited about learning any other language here. Okay? So that's what the page says. The page says English is weird. It's weird because they are not ready to pick up other languages, but that does not define why exactly is English weird. One reason given here is the spellings that make it weird. Now let's move to the next page and let's see if the author reiterates some facts here. I'll ask you a question here. Read the page very carefully. If you are done, explain the highlighted line to me, the first line of the page. But our monolingual tendency leaves us like the proverbial fish not knowing what is wet. Don't Google, try guessing it. What does the first line mean? Proverbial fish not knowing that it is wet. It's easy. It's more of a logical reasoning statement, actually, if you try to focus on it. What is a proverb? A proverb is usually that has an idiomatic meaning. Hi, Prads. Oh, wish you a very happy birthday, Prads. May you get into your dream college and may you receive all the happiness that you desire for. God bless you, my child. Like knowing what is actually normal. Okay, Atul, good try. Now let me explain this, everyone. A proverb is, now when I use the word proverbial with something, I'm not referring to fish as the literal fish here. It will always have an idiomatic meaning, something that's indirectly stated rather than directly stating, okay? So, the fish always stays in water, always. When the fish always stays in water, the fish does not realize that the fish is wet because being wet is normal for it. So, they don't realize that it's wet that surrounds the fish. That is when you are okay with the surrounding, and if this is where you are confined in, you will always find that to be okay. For example, domestic violence. People who've seen domestic violence in their families, who suffer domestic violence, and that's what they've seen throughout their lives. They find it normal. Okay, domestic violence is okay. But once they see the outside world, that's when they know, no, domestic violence is not okay. No, that's when the fish realizes, and once the fish is out, that's when she realizes, oh, I'm dry. That means it was wet inside. This line exactly focuses on the Anglophones who are determined and very rigid on speaking English only. And they find English is one of the best languages. It's normal. It's only when they learn other languages, that's when they realize English is not normal. English is weird. That's the proverbial fish that does not know it is wet. Okay? Got this, everybody? Our language feels normal only until you get a sense of what normal really is. When you learn other languages, you'll see English is not normal, other languages are normal. My father, who is an expert in Hindi, keeps arguing with me what this language is. Why English? You try to learn Hindi, the words are so simple, simply written. The entire matras and language is so simple. So, it's only when you learn other languages, that's when you realize, according to the author, English is not normal. So, then the next paragraph, I hope everybody gets it, the explanation. Yeah. So, then the author moves on. The author then compares English with other languages. And he draws a conclusion towards the end. My question is, what is the conclusion the author draws towards the end of comparing English to other languages in the second para? You answer this. Yes, yes, Priya. Yes, the language of this article is beautiful. You'll come across many such things ahead. Now tell me, what's the conclusion the author is drawing here? Exactly, Disha. Yes. And you find those irregularities to be normal. Ma'am, MBA for studies for pharmaceutical management. Okay, Shivam, what's your question beyond that? Everyone else? Okay, Sai, so that's the conclusion. Other people? Do you agree with what Sai has written? Is this the conclusion? Yes, so the sole purpose of comparing English to other languages is to see that is English actually weird or is it only a preconceived notion that the author has made. He says understanding the other languages compared to English is easier, and that's why he supports his own point that English is not a normal language, it's a weird language. That is exactly the conclusion he draws towards the end, okay? So, but that sentence is a cooked one, and then he compares, it's like German, or Frisian, and they're similar, and these languages are similar, so it's easier to understand them. English is not similar to any of them. That's why it's tricky. Okay, let's move on. Read the next page, send me and I'll ask you another question. Ma'am, pharmaceutical management, this topic study. Okay, yes, Shivam. So if your question is that should I be studying these articles that you're teaching in the class because I'm targeting pharmaceutical management? Yes, you should be reading them. Yes, Shivam. Read the page and send me a done. This page is full of traumas that you come across while you attempted solving grammar. Are we done? Yeah. So, Hindi, train. For example, train. Is it a feminine or a masculine gender? We know that. It's a feminine one, right? Train for is used in Hindi with a feminine connotation. That's an example of Hindi. But then there are other regional languages that we speak. They also have similar connotation. For example, if we speak Kannada or we speak Tamil, they also have their own connotations, masculine or feminine. Similarly, you look at the European languages, for example, French or for example, Spanish. All of these have connotations, feminine or masculine to each word. The author is very unhappy with the fact that why English does not have that. How do I know if train has a feminine or a masculine gender? We don't know that. Train is a train. I can't say he or she. I'll just call it it, right? So that's the first problem he has. He says English is the only language that doesn't assign genders to nouns unless and until it's a human. That's the one problem he has. Then he says, okay, that's a weird way. Then he says, do you want more weirdness? Okay, I'll give you more weirdness. Okay, in caps lock. I'll give you more weirdness in English. Then he says, I talk, you talk, but why he, she talks? Why add another letter to it? So he's now annoyed, completely annoyed with the grammar English uses. He says there's no specific rule. Why is he, she followed by S? He, she is singular, right? That's why we add an S towards it. So is I singular. Why not I talks? That's weird. The author is not convinced with it. So he says the grammar is very chaotic here. Okay. So Shivam, I'll give you a little suggestion. You can speak to the counselor's number that's given at the bottom scroll bar. Please speak to them. They'll let you know more about the programs. Okay. So now, unless you happen, so ultimately the author here says that English is a weird language. I'm not convinced with the grammar here. Let's move on. Read the page, everyone. So till now, what did we learn? We've learned that the author and his writing style is trying to give us reasons as to why is English a weird language. He is trying to give us justifications. This is a very good tone that's coming to my mind right now. We can change our tone later on. But tell me, till now, can the tone of the author be persuasive? Answer this, everybody. Can our tone till now be persuasive? Till now. We might change our tone later on. Can our tone be persuasive? Yes, absolutely. Or rather, argumentative as well. So the entire passage looks like it's been written to convince the reader to agree with the author's opinions. And that's why he gives you reasons again and again. The tone till now can also be argumentative, because the author is constantly giving us arguments as to why English is weird. So either of the tone can be chosen till now in the passage. We'll see if the tones continue or if it changes. Read the page, send me a done. No, Pradyuman, Atul, it can be persuasive, okay? Okay, now, okay, Atul, I'll give you an explanation. Atul says he is questioning. He is. But after every question, is he also giving us an explanation? So the tone will be questioning only when questions are put up and you are in a quest to find the answers. But here he asks us a question and then gives us an explanation because he already knows of it. And ultimately, why are the questions asked? To know the answers? He already knows the answers. The questions are asked to attract the attention of the reader, to make a strong argument that English is weird. Every question focuses on the same fact that English is weird. Why? How? These are the questions that are being asked here. And that's exactly why argumentative or persuasive will be better tones instead of questioning. Okay? Do you get it? Exactly, Anna. He's trying to convince us with reasoning, and these questions are part of the reasoning. But they seem convinced in their belief that English is weird. Exactly, Amrit. Yes, that's the point. Okay, now let's move on. Now you see, he goes back to tracing why did English become so weird? What happened? What went wrong actually? That's what this paragraph focuses on. And then he starts on focusing on the movement of Englishmen, how they moved across the world and what led to English being so eccentric and so unusual and so weird. Here you see the word eccentric has a negative connotation. That's how usually it is used. Unless and until you use it very positively, it will always be accompanied with a negative connotation, obviously depending on the context. Here eccentric has a negative connotation. So he says people moved, and the first thing that got us from there to here was the fact that when these people brought their language to England, the island was already inhabited with people who spoke very different language. So they had no choice but to learn their language. Thus, English became a mixture of people moving in and people moving out. That is one reason that led to the complexity of the language. That's the first reason he says why the language is complex. Now you see the tone changes here. Now it's no more argumentative or persuasive. Here it's more of an explanatory thing, justifying why is English an eccentric language. Okay, now let's move on. Let's read the next page. Quick everyone, read this and send me a done. What is the focus of the page on? What is this first and the second thing focusing on? Answer this. What are these first and the second things focusing on? How English became a mixture, one, and how English still dominated over other languages. Because while the movement happened, people could have picked up German more than English or any other language that's mentioned here, but that did not happen. English prevailed, it became a mixture, yet it prevailed. So the focus here, these 1 and 2 pointers that the author is giving, always, always, always remember when there are pointers like these, you need to answer this in your head. It's very likely going to happen that there's going to be a question in such areas. So these pointers always, these are focusing on two facts. One, that English is a mixture, and two, that it still prevailed. Exactly. People could have picked up other languages, but they still spoke English, yet making it even more weird. Now, do you see this line, the last line? We can only imagine what kind of German most of us would speak if this was how we had to learn it. Only by hearing and listening. Accents different. If that's how we had to learn German, it would have been difficult for us. Never seeing how German is written, never seeing how English is written, add with a great deal more on our plates. Butchering animals, people, so on. What is this focusing on? Who's going to tell me that? Butchering animals? Where are we butchering animals? Where are we butchering people? What is he referring to here? It's a very sarcastic thing actually. Let me see if you get it. We can only imagine what kind of German most of us would speak if this was how we had to learn it. Never seeing it written down and with a great deal more on our plates to learn on. Butchering animals, people, and so on, than just working on our accents. Okay, okay, Anna, Atul, others? Any other guesses, anyone? We're talking of learning German here, right? I've given you a big hint. War and politics? Yeah, that's correct. That is war and politics. And every other thing that's associated with the word Germany, the moment I say it, what comes to your mind? Okay? So, exactly. So he says, if I had to learn German without even looking at how it's written, merely by listening to people, and then merely learning German was not important. I had to learn a lot of other things, butchering animals, people, and so on. It would be very difficult for me to learn German. And that's exactly why learning English became so difficult. Okay? Got this, everybody? Yeah. All right. So that's the reason the author gives here. Next page. Finally, that's the third pointer he gives. We don't have to read the whole page. If you've understood, now see, this is how you skim. If you've understood the first and the second pointer, you know the third pointer will also focus on the same fact that English is a mixture, yet English prevailed. That's the reasoning given by the author consecutively. Where point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. All these three are reasons why English can be a mixture, yet English prevailed. So this paragraph actually talks about how We borrowed many words from different languages. Some French, some Latin, some Greek, some German, and we became a mixture. Like Schadenfreude, for that example, is a German word. Yeah? So it's a mixture here. We don't have to read the final point. We can skim through it and understand that. Read this paragraph carefully, everyone. What is the meaning of this phrase? Now, this is a very funny page. You can clearly see how annoyed the author here is. What is the meaning of the phrase the die was cast? First tell me that. It's an idiom. The die was cast it means, so the process has begun and it's a non-revocable one. You cannot revoke it, irrevocable one. Okay, so it has just started and now you cannot get back. It will either lead to the destruction or just go on and on, but you can't revoke it. So the die was cast. Till now, English kept on becoming a mixture again and again and again. And now the process started. We could not go back. We've borrowed so many words in English from Hindi, from Latin, Greek, German, French. You remember learning etymology maybe with Nikita ma'am someday? Yeah? Etymology, going to the origin of words. Etymology, what is the need of etymology? Because English is a mixture. We've borrowed from so many languages. So he says the die was cast. English became a mixture and it became more weird over and over and over again. See, such a weird yet funny example. He says kingly, regal, royal. Are they not the same? They are, but then, as I keep saying, there's a thin line of difference. A very thin line. Exactly, something that has started cannot be changed. Yes, that's what it means. Now he says these words are same, but then there's a thin line of difference, and it's such a thin line that people get confused. Specifically, kids like you who prepare for a competitive examination, you might be baffled with the details of the words and the meanings it holds. Thin line. The moment you go here, you get a wrong score. The moment you go the other side, you get a correct score. So, just a minute, guys. Give me a second, please. Yeah. Back to it. So something that has started can be changed was the meaning, and then he says, here we go. So regal, kingly, royal, they are synonymous, yet it's so tricky, it's so difficult, it's so chaotic, we are unable to differentiate. Nevertheless, then he says, no, this page I don't think is important. No, that isn't. Let me bring you to a good page. Yes, read this paragraph, everyone. Data, what's the point the author is trying to make here? Full of data. What is the point the author is trying to make here through the data he's given you? Everyone, what is the point he's focusing on? He's focusing again on the point that English is weird. Justifying the same thing again and again, focusing right now on spellings. He says spellings make English weird. He justifies it here with more examples. Okay, justifying that. However, we might be reluctant to identify just which languages are not mighty, especially since obscure languages spoken by small number of people are typically majestically complex. Now he says, see, French, for example. French people, they always they find their language to be mighty, their language to be superior to others, and that's exactly why they speak a lot in French. Okay, similarly here they say other people might also think that their language is mighty. Yet, the thing is that many languages did not even move out of their own constraint and their areas. And that's why English prevailed. Despite the fact it was a complex one, it prevailed. The common idea that English dominates the world because it is flexible. People say English is flexible, and that's why it's a common language. Does the author agree to this pointer? I'll repeat the pointer. The author says, people believe that English survived because it is flexible. Does the author agree to it? Does the author agree to it? Flexible and adaptable, yeah. I'll repeat my question. The author says people believe that English survived because English was flexible, inverted comma. Does the author agree to this opinion? No. No, he does not, Atul and Disha, he does not. Why has he mentioned flexible in inverted comma? He says people say it's flexible. English is not flexible. No. So saying that you dominated the world because you are flexible is a fallacious opinion, because other languages were equally flexible, just that they failed to catch on beyond their tribe because they were mysteriously rigid. Okay, I'm not aware of any such language. No. He says, I don't know of any language that was rigid, and that's why it did not surpass its boundaries. This line says, I don't know of any such language. He does not agree to English. The reason given for the survival of English is not its flexibility. The reason for survival could be n number of other things, but certainly not flexibility. Because he does not know of any language that's rigid and that was confined. That's what he says. Exactly, it's a sarcastic flexible. Exactly, KK. Do you get it, Anna, Disha and Atul? Alright? I hope you get it. What English does have on other tongues is that it is deeply peculiar. It's not flexible, it's peculiar. Deeply peculiar in the structural sense. And it became peculiar because of the slings and arrows. What is this? The meaning of what are slings and arrows? And how did it become peculiar? Because of the slings and arrows and the outrageous history. What does that mean? Okay? Slings and arrows. What does that mean, everyone? It's a sarcasm, yeah. Slings and arrows. Here, what does it mean? When English does have on other tongue it is a deeply peculiar language, and it became peculiar because of these slings and arrows, as well as caprices of outrageous history. Force, okay, yeah, you can say that. And undesirable outcome, yes, you can say that as well. Undesirable situations, yeah. Weird, unpleasant situations, yes. So it became peculiar because of the unpleasant situations it was in. and with the kind of outrageous history the entire movement of English language had, that made it peculiar. Now, what is our tone here, everybody? Answer that. Now, what's our tone? How can we get article daily website? KK, this article is from the Aeon.co and it's a free website. You can visit it every day. Now, what's the tone, everyone? Is it still persuasive or argumentative, or would you like to change your tones, everyone? Would you like to change your tone, everybody? What's the tone? Persuasive or argumentative? Agreed. Persuasive or argumentative? Rather argumentative, I think, would be a better tone if I had to choose instead of persuasive. Okay, so that's the tone of the author. Your homework, you have to write down the summary of this article under my video in the comment section. I'm going to be checking that. And okay, please like the session if you haven't done that. Okay, I'm so sorry, I forgot to ask you. Please like the session, comment under my video, share my video, please do that, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Please follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, and download our app on Google Play. Thank you so much, everyone. Sarcastic only a bit, Priya. Only few bits of it, okay? Now I'm going to be seeing you again on Tuesday. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a very, very good day. God bless you. Bye, everyone. I hope you had a fun learning time with me.